All right. Hello. So I want to go ahead and thank Silas and Gary, for joining us tonight. Today we're gonna do it a little bit different. We're gonna have both of them coming on at the same time, and today we're gonna be discussing both of their experiences with the Board of Parole hearings. They both recently went to the hearings, and we want to go ahead and pick their brains, and hopefully they could get into some of the details of their experience. So I want to go ahead and thank both of you for calling in today.
No problem. Thank you for
Absolutely.
having me.
Thank you for having us.
All right, perfect, perfect. So first question I would have for you guys would be, what was the approximate length of your board of parole hearing?
Uh, Gary, Gary's been a couple more than me, so you want to go ahead and fill this one, Gary?
Yeah. Um, okay. The first time I went back in 2016, I was in there approximately for 4 hours. That was the first time. That was in 2016. Now the criteria has changed, so no more than an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes. That's the length now of a parole board hearing.
All right, and what was your experience
Yeah,
like, Silas?
yeah. I went last weekend. My, I think that it was maybe altogether maybe an hour and 40 minutes approximately. It wasn't that long. My comprehensive risk assessment, where I spoke with the clinician, was actually longer than my whole hearing.
And this was your first time, right, going to the parole board? You haven't been previously to any board of parole hearings, right, Silas?
That's correct. No, this was my initial hearing, and youth offender all rolled into one.
Okay. And then, so when these hearings take place, are they in person? Are they remote via Zoom, WebEx, or how are they handled?
Now,
Gary, you want to take this one?
now, yeah. Nowadays it's through video. Nowadays it's through video. Ever since the pandemic happened, they saw that it was working and it was benefiting everybody, so to speak, the commissioners, the inmates going to board. So now it's all through video. You do have an opportunity by upon request to have it in person, but it's not recommended. They rather just do it through video, do on a monitor, and have it that way. That's how it is now.
And when was the first time you went to your first board of parole hearing, Gary?
It was in August of 2016. That was the first one I ever went to.
Okay, so you've been to hearings before that were in person. How do they compare?
Absolutely, absolutely.
How do they compare between the
Oh
in
wow,
person and over on a computer screen?
it's huge for me. It's huge for me. It's like when I first went in there in 2016. It's like the tension in the room. I mean, here you are. You got these two commissioners in front of you. The only thing that separates you is a table and a couple of computer screens, and then you have an officer who's standing like 3 feet right behind you, and practically breathing down your neck. And you have to go there and talk about your life, like explain your whole life. You know what I mean? In a nutshell, because you ain't gonna have days or you're only gonna have hours to do this. So the tension in that room, the anxiety, the stress, like everything just rolled into one in that moment. Like what I mean, like your life is literally like it's on the line. You know, where when I went the second time with the video conference, it was like the only one that was in that room was me. There was no officer. It was just me, the video screen with the two commissioners, and it was like it was just so I was so at ease. Like the tension was gone, the anxiety, the stress. It was just like, oh, like I could finally
This
I took a
call
breath,
and your telephone
so to
number
speak.
will be
I was able
monitored
to
and
take
recorded.
I was able to take a breath. So for me, the difference was huge. It was monumental.
Wow, yeah, I could definitely understand that. And how do you feel about your interview over the video chat, Silas?
My experience was a little different. The hearing was, first of all, it was nothing like I thought it was going to be. It exceeded my expectations. I went into the hearing thinking that it was just going to be hours long, and it was just going to be just confrontational, just abrasive, just some people, administrators, just pretty much just insulted me for hours, and and just berating me for all of the things, the terrible things that I've done. So I was prepared for that going into the hearing. Gary and I actually spoke earlier about the modem of communication as far as being in person and the video. And I actually, while I haven't had an in-person hearing, I actually would have kind of preferred a hearing in person, simply because it just, the video hearing, it kind of depersonalized it for me. I mean, it was really uncomfortable. I mean, I conducted the hearing sitting at a desk, like a desk. It was almost like a junior high school desk, like the little brown desk with the, it was like a small desk, and it just, you had two correctional officers inside the room with you, just sitting behind you, and for the most part, they were quiet. I really didn't notice them, but it just.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It just seemed a little bit impersonal for me. It just, I don't know. I believe I would have preferred the hearing in person, but hearing Gary talk about how the correctional officer was positioned 3 feet away from him, I'm kind of wondering how that would have played, because obviously they're there because, the commissioner and deputy commissioner are making decisions about your freedom, and, there's a certain amount of possibility for volatility during the hearing. But I think if that element isn't there within that individual, a correction officer standing that close to you can serve as kind of like an intimidating factor and throw you off from actually answering the questions from the interview.
And
Absolutely.
let me ask you, I know you mentioned, and you were speaking about kind of like your experience, with the Board of Parole or hearings.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Would you mind getting into like the details as far as the questions they were asking you? Were they personal, or what the outcome was of your board hearing?
Well, you want me to take this, Silas? You got this. Go ahead.
Which one of us were you?
Both
were
of
you
you
referring to?
Both of you gone recently.
Go ahead, Silas. Take this.
To the hearing. So I mean, I would like to hear both of your experiences.
Yeah, the questions are really invasive. I mean, and as they should be. I mean, you're assessing someone's whole life, essentially. I mean, and so the questions are really personal. They're about, your socialization, your family history. I mean, your emotions, your thoughts, your past behaviors, your present behaviors, your beliefs. I mean, they go through pretty much everything. I mean, if you're not really insightful, I don't think the questions really mean that much, and they won't draw that much out of someone. Because if you really don't have any, if you really haven't done any introspection, or you're not that self-aware, then I think you'll answer the questions like on the surface, if you're able to answer the questions at all. I was denied suitability and given a 3-year denial with the option of petitioning for review to be brought back before BPH. In 11 months, they do an automatic review, so I'll be reviewed, and chances are with a higher moderate psych evaluation, I'll be back before them within 15 to 18 months. So approximately a year and a half, I'll be back before BPH doing it again. So I was recommended to take a criminal thinking course or a denial management course, remain disciplinary free, and come back. So yeah, Gary, you want to get in your experience?
Gary, maybe he stepped away
Hello?
from. Okay.
Yeah, I think he. Okay.
Oh, he stepped away.
No, you,
Hey.
you, Gary. We're
No.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, absolutely. Everything Silas says, it's like they're reviewing everything. They're asking you questions from your upbringing to your teenage years to your behavior in prison. I mean, they're breaking it.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I mean, they're breaking it down. I mean, they knew things about me that I didn't even think they knew. You know what I mean? That were on file, and they asked me questions, and of course I was lying. You know, the first time I went, I was like, you know, that was in 2016. I was like, no. They're like, wait a minute, we got it right here, and that's when it opened my eyes. It's like, man, they have everything, and they went through it like with a fine tooth comb. You know what I mean? Little by little. And I went in there in 2016. I didn't have the insight. I didn't have the retrospective that the brother Silas was talking about. Like, I didn't do no work. I was just freshly off the main line. I just went in there and was like, what's up? What's happening? You know what I mean? You going to let me go or what? Yeah, it's foolish now. It sounds foolish now, but that's how I went in there. You know, but walking away from that hearing, walking away from it, it was like, damn, I started to think. I had some tough choices and decisions I needed to make. You know what I mean? It's like,
all right, Silas. So his call was cut off. Do you want to go ahead and call me back, so like that we kind of have them synced up. So when you guys call back, it'll be more aligned.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. And then I do see we got a Liceman. I appreciate you tapping in. We got Pomona Queen. How's it going? I'll go ahead and let Gary know that you're in here, and then Marlene. We're gonna go ahead and let Gary also know that she's checking in late. Anyhow, it's better late than never, right? And you haven't missed that much. We just went on air maybe about 10 minutes or so. So as soon as they call back, we'll go ahead and continue with the questions. And pretty much they're speaking about their experiences with the Board of Parole.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Gary.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison.
All right, Gary. So right now we're just waiting for waiting for Silas to call us back. Right now, when he calls back, I'm gonna you won't be able to hear us just because like the setup that I got right here. One call is coming in through through the computer, and then the other call is coming in through the phone. So you just call me back through the phone. So as soon as he calls back, then we'll go ahead and continue. But there he is. Like, so let me go ahead and pick it up. Give me a moment.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson,
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, so we should all be on right now.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then before we continue, I want to go ahead and I don't want to overlook, that we do have some of our listeners in here. Major support for both of you guys. So we have an Iceman tapping in. He wants to go ahead and let you know hello, to Silas and Gary.
Hey, what's up, Ice?
What's up, Iceman? How you doing?
And then we also got Pomona Queen. She's putting a what up or what's up, Gary.
Fam right there. It's the fam. What's up?
And then and also we got Marlene. Hey Gary, checking in late, and I
Yeah,
said better late than never.
yeah. That's the fam. That's the cousin right there.
That's
She's a
right.
big supporter of mine. Huge supporter. What up?
And then Eliasman puts a message. He says, James working like a mad scientist! Exclamation! Exclamation! And Marlene put, he's working double time. I'm over here like I feel like one of those old school operators. You know, when they're plugging in a cable, plugging in the other cable. Man, I gotta make sure I don't cross up my cables
Yeah.
over here.
What is
And just to throw a
Oh.
disclaimer right here, if the CDCR administration ever comes across this live stream, I just want to just let you guys know that this
Mhm.
is not a three-way, so we're not violating whatever the rule book or whatever regulation is in the rule book about three-ways, because technically this is not a three-way. We're using two separate devices, two different phone numbers to keep to keep within the rules.
Absolutely.
All right, and then right now, you were cut off, Gary. You're in the middle of sharing your
Oh,
experience.
yeah. I mean, yeah, like the brother Silas was saying, like, man, I didn't do none of that. It wasn't until I
This
walked away from
call
that
and your
hearing,
telephone
and
number
I
will
had
be
5 years,
monitored and recorded.
and I got a 5 year denial. So I made some tough decisions, right then and there. And for the next 5 years, I did the work. I put in the work. I man, I did a lot of work, a lot of awareness, a lot of digging, a lot of insight, all that, right? But it's crazy because it's like when I was doing all that work, like I failed to make a connection. I failed to make the connection when it came to, you know what I mean, certain family members of mine. Because when I went in the second time, they didn't go over everything. They told me we're just going to focus on two key aspects that keep on showing up in your whole life history, and that's gangs and substance abuse. And that's all we did. We focused clearly on that, but I failed to like I was saying earlier, to certain family members who were still, part of that destructive lifestyle. And that's where I failed to make that connection. And unfortunately, as everybody knows, my date was pulled, and I was denied 3 years, and denied 3 years recently in October. And so, but I've been correcting those wrongs, though. I've been fixing it. I've been correcting it, and just I'm continuing. I'm continuing to gain that insight, to to do the work, and to keep on digging, because insight is like, to me, like there's no measuring stick. There's no measuring stick for insight. It continues to evolve. You continue to learn. You continue to grow. So that's what I'm doing now. And my brother Silas, man, he's a big part of that. You meet certain people in here on your path to change and recovery, and you run into these individuals, and man, they help you. And Silas is one of those individuals for me, man. Ever since I met Silas over a year ago, he's been a huge help to me, huge contributor into this lifestyle of change, and and I'm grateful, man. I'm extremely grateful.
Thank you, Gary. Really, really
This
appreciate it.
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And just to double check, are both of you? Do both of you come in from LA County?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when these hearings take place, does anybody show up, like as far as like the district attorney or anybody representing the state or any of the family members of the victims?
Previously, the district attorney
Silas?
from Los Angeles used to send representatives, but for the last few years, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office hasn't sent a representative, and I didn't have one last week. There was no one there, and in fact, the correctional officers that brought me into the hearing and supervised the hearing told me that LA hasn't sent anyone here in years. So, Gary, you want to speak to your experience, like the first time?
Oh yeah. Yes. The DA was there for me the first time in 2016. He was there, and It's just like it was just he was another one, just you know what I mean, going over through everything, just pointing the finger, you know what I mean, this, that, you know what I mean. I get it, you know what I mean. His oath he took is to keep the public safe, you know what I mean. I get it, I understand that, you know, but having the two commissioners and the DA there, just you know what I mean, looking down upon you and just criticizing you and pointing the finger and why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? What's that the whole nine? Yeah, I mean, he was there the first time with me, you know what I mean, and but that was in 2016. I mean, when I went again in 2021, he wasn't there at all. The only person that was there was a person from their office just reading the impact statement for my victims, and that was it. They didn't say, they just read the impact statement and that was it. But no DA, no nothing. And to me, the DA not being present, I find it, again, I mean, it's just helpful to me. It's a benefit to me on my part. He's not there. Again, just I mean, focusing on the negative. I mean, focusing on I mean, all the bad stuff, not looking at the good stuff that you've done. And because I get it, it's their job. They're a district attorney. Their job is to keep you in prison. So them not being there, it helped me out a lot. It put me more at ease, and just to have a conversation with the commissioners, and what I mean. So yeah, that was my experience.
Well, when you just said that
yeah,
it just kind of brought I kind of had like a light bulb moment just now. During my hearing, and in everyone's hearing in the transcripts, the commissioner says that they're not there to relitigate the crime, and they accept the findings of the finding of fact. They accept the result, the conviction is true. All of the facts in the case they accept is true. Well, if that's the case, I mean, I know that being from Los Angeles County, we don't have a district attorney representative there, but essentially every district attorney's office in California that sends a representative is simply there to reiterate the heinousness of the crime that was committed, the life crime. I mean, they're not there to relitigate anything new. They're just simply there to reassert their belief that they've already asserted, I mean, pre and post conviction.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah,
it's
right there on black and white.
Now I really don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand what their place is in any hearing now, going forward in the future from any county.
No. Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. What SILAS is saying, I agree with that 100%.
And let me ask you guys: Is it different?
Everything's there.
Is it different for people that come from other, let's say, from other counties within the state of California? What's their experience with the DAs? Do you guys talk about that? Like when DAs show up and what is it that they're bringing to the table when they do come to these hearings, opposed to like LA County where the DAs don't show up anymore?
There was a gentleman here. Yeah, there was a gentleman here, Anthony. He went to board. He was from Riverside County, and I wish I knew the district attorney's name. I'll get her name. The deputy district attorney. She came, and I was reading his transcripts, and the commissioner asked her, "Well, what is the barometer for a lifer to be eligible for parole as far as the district attorney's office of Riverside is concerned?" She said it's the Riverside District Attorney's Office's position that no lifer is ever eligible for parole. And the commissioner was kind of taken aback, and you can tell. He said, well, wait a minute. It's the Riverside District Attorney's Office position that no lifer is ever eligible for parole? She said, that's the District Attorney's Office position. So subsequently in the hearing, when they were doing the closing arguments, his attorney made his close, and the district attorney had an opportunity to make a close, but the commissioner kind of waved her off and said, well, the district attorney usually has an opportunity to speak, but we already know per the district attorney so-and-so, that Riverside, it's Riverside's position that no lifers...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And she tried to refine her statement and said, well, no, that's not what I said. And he said, no, that is what you said. So he pretty much said, like, we might as well not even let you talk because you're just going to come in here singing that same hook every single time. So I thought that was pretty interesting and really telling.
And you know what? And I find it interesting that you bring up Riverside County because from many of the gentlemen that I have come on onto this live stream that do come out of Riverside County. Riverside County, it seems like they push the death penalty, and now from what you're saying, they don't want any lifers to parole. So that's definitely interesting on the stance that Riverside County has towards anybody that's eligible for parole.
Right. I mean, she showed her hand pretty much there. I mean, if you're from Riverside County, I mean, it's all bad as far as the district attorney. There's no reconciliation. There's no rehabilitation. There's no remediating the harm that you caused. Like in their eyes, like you're doomed. You're damned. So. Yeah, I'm gonna get her name. I'm gonna give you her name, so everybody can send her some. And in fact, I'm gonna try and get a copy of the excerpt and get her name to you. Send you a copy so everybody can send their questions and comments to her about the practices of the Riverside District Attorney's Office.
And I think Silas
that'll be pretty interesting conversation.
Was gonna say that he wants us to send her roses and flowers. Nothing negative, so she's want to go ahead and throw that out there. If I do something, I send her something.
Simple clarifying questions would suffice. Just clarifying questions. I mean, just one question: has there ever been a lifer that the Riverside District Attorney's Office has deemed eligible for?
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Just one question. One question.
We probably won't get a reply to those messages, but I'm gonna see when you provide me with that. I don't mind dropping some letters and then mailing out or sending out some emails. So definitely interesting to see what's gonna happen with this. And I know Gary just hello Gary, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm about to cut out. I'm about to call back.
Yeah, that's what I was about to tell you. Yeah, if you guys could go ahead and call back so we could go ahead and continue.
All right. I'll call you back.
All right, perfect. All right. All right, so if you're just tuning in right now, we have two gentlemen on the line with us today. We have Silas, and we also got Gary, and they're going through their experience with the Board of Parole hearings. Silas, which just went to the Board of Parole last week, his outcome was not favorable. They asked him to take I think I'm not sure about one or two classes more, and they gave him a 3-year denial.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from.
This call is now being recorded.
An inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hello, Silas?
Hello. Okay.
Oh, you know what? I think. Oh, you know what? You called me to the. I picked up on the phone. The phone Gary is calling into. If you don't mind calling me back, and I'll pick it up on the computer, because if Gary calls her back right now, I won't be able to connect this call.
Okay.
Yeah, I got mixed up over here.
Okay.
All right, my apologies. I got multiple phones in front of me right now, so my computer and my phones ring at the same time. So I wasn't sure which one to pick up. But let me go ahead and fix that right now, so it doesn't happen again. Let just go to settings. I kind of feel like that one operator in John Wick where she's handling multiple calls. All right. Oh, I got disconnected. Let's see here. My apologies. I'm trying to changing the settings so when Silas calls, my phone doesn't ring. It'll just ring the computer, opposed to ringing the computer. And here we go. Okay.
This call is now being recorded.
All right. So the calls are not connecting right now. So hopefully we're able to connect briefly. So I do see these messages from Elisman. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and actually put this up on the screen here about the DA.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
SILAS Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, Silas, thank you for calling back. So right now, I haven't been able to connect yet with Gary. So we'll just go ahead and.
Okay.
I think he sent a message. Oh no, this was a while ago. Anyhow, so right now, I just noticed that Elisman actually looked up the DA in Riverside County, and it's Michael Hestrin, Hestrin, and it's been the district attorney since 2014 in Riverside County.
Like this is, I think, like the deputy district. This is a woman. It's a deputy district attorney.
Okay. The one that when the DA goes, it's not the main district attorney, right? He sends
no, they send representatives.
Okay, yeah. That's the word I was looking for there. Yeah. So do you remember what we were speaking about before we got the announcement for that we're down to 60 seconds?
We were essentially talking about the district attorney attending the hearings, just where we're from, the county that we're from, as opposed to the contrast as opposed to different counties, and how LA handles things as opposed to every other county in California.
So LA County seems to be a little more, I guess, would lenient be the right word for this, or compassionate? What word would you use for LA, the way they're handling these parole board hearings and not sending out any representation?
I've heard people refer to the LA district attorney as a liberal. I wouldn't characterize. I know that my knowledge is limited about the LA district attorney. Let me preface what I'm about to say with that. But just based on the policy alone, I wouldn't call that a liberal policy. I would call it a restorative policy. I mean, when we talk about like long-term offenders or even the death penalty, right? For me, it comes down to one fundamental question, and the question is this: do you believe that some human lives are disposable and expendable? Do you believe or do you believe that every life has value? If to take a life, which I've done, is a horrible thing. And there's, make no mistake, there's no righting that wrong. There's no remediating that harm for the victim or the victim's family members. That said, moving forward, I think the question is, what is justice? What does justice look like? Is justice in caging someone in a box for the rest of their natural days? Whether the person has done introspection, educated themselves, got psychological help if need be, and done.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
To reform their character, if this person is not a danger to society, do we still punish this individual regardless? Because at that point, if there's no reconciliation, no restoration, then this isn't really justice. This is just punishment, essentially. It's just punitive at that point. So I think the question is for me, with that policy, it calls for all of us to answer, and ask ourselves and answer, do we value human life? Because on one hand, for the punishment aspect of it, for the imprisonment aspect of it, society does this, I would presume, because they value the life that was taken, and there's an element of dangerousness to this individual who has committed homicide, which is the most serious act you can commit. On the other side of that is this human being just a throwaway at this point, and the rate of lifers in other states as well as California, lifers are going on. So, that's just a simple fact of the matter. And I think the way that Los Angeles administers justice is different in the regard that it allows for reconciliation,
And that's huge. That's huge. That just by them doing that, it's giving a lot of people hope. At possibly coming home when they didn't have any hope. I remember when you would hear somebody that they got 7 years to life, 15 years to life, 25 to life, and you knew that they didn't have a chance of ever stepping out of out of those walls. The only way they were going to be leaving there was pretty much in a box. So definitely giving a lot of people hope, to actually come back and come back into society and be productive, because in 20 how long have you been down? You've been down what, 22, 23 years so far?
February, it's been 23 years.
So yeah, in the last 22 years, you're not the same person. You don't have the same thoughts that you had once, the day you walked into those gates. You've obviously evolved, elevated your mindset, and if once you do come home, you're not gonna be doing the same things that you were once upon a time. You're gonna give back to the community and possibly if given the opportunity, help youngsters or people that are at risk, navigate away from those from that type of lifestyle.
Right, and let me say this: 10 years ago, I was not a person that I would right now consider for parole. It's just a simple fact of the matter. 5 years ago, I wouldn't believe that I was eligible for parole. So that, I think, for me, that speaks to our ability to transform ourselves, to become more than what we've been. I'm not the same person that I was when I came into prison almost 23 years ago. I'm not the same person that I was yesterday. I continue to evolve and to reassess, who I am and my character and what I want, you know, and what makes this life meaningful for me. You know, so when you're constantly doing introspection and self-correction when it calls for it, I mean, it brings everything together for you on a holistic level. It just, you know, as well as my education. I mean, you know, if you're studious, you know, this experience, if you use the tools that are given to you, it'll change your worldview, you know, and you will become someone that's not only worthy of being in society, you become someone that can actually be an asset to society.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to take you back, you know, a little while ago, you know, when I had Gary, when you know all three of us were on the live. I had asked you if both of you were from LA County, and you both responded that yeah, that you were from LA County. Um, and I want to ask you something else, if you don't mind sharing, you know, with the viewers, you know, where you're from, and when I'm asking you where you're from, I'm not asking you what gang you're from. I'm asking you what where did you reside, you know, at when you know when you were living in when you were out.
Well, asking me from what gang I'm from is it's an easy answer to that question. I am from no gang.
Okay.
But I'm from the San Fernando Valley, particularly the Pacoima area.
Okay. And I know earlier on, when Gary was speaking about his experience with the parole board, because you know he's had experiences in person and via like WebEx or Zoom, um, and he mentioned that there would be a officer, you know, standing right next to you. Is that the same? Is that the same experience you had? Is there somebody there? Is there an officer standing next to you while you're conducting this interview or panel hearing?
They were sitting behind me at it's a huge conference table, and they were sitting behind me a little bit to the right, out of eye shot of the video. And for the most part, you know, they were respectful. I really didn't notice them actually until the end of the hearing.
Okay, so yeah, my next question would have been like if it makes you uncomfortable, you know, them being in there and you know listening to you, you know, speak to the board members. So in your case, you said you didn't even like notice them until towards the end. So that's definitely uh, 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 I think do you think an in-person one with a CO next to you would make you nervous opposed to you know the
Not nervous. Not nervous. I mean, I understand the security preventive measure of having a correctional officer there. Obviously, somebody can, you know, lose their shit and try and attack a commissioner or, you know, immigration thing.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So I get that. At the same time, with my temperament and demeanor now, I mean, with that being just totally outside of the realm of possibility, it would almost seem like a little antagonistic to have someone standing right there while you're answering all of these questions that are so, you know, that are so deeply personal. And yeah, so I don't know. I guess I kind of changed my view on the in-person hearing after hearing that, you know, that about the proximity and just, you know, and so I thought that was pretty interesting. I guess I didn't factor that in.
yeah. I mean, I think uh you know what, and I want to share this experience that I had when I was in county jail like over 20 years ago. Um, Back in the days, I don't know if they still offer it, but they had this thing called county parole, and you know, while I was there on a county lid, I was trying to you know find any way you know possibly you know to get home, whether it was house arrest or any program that they had to offer. That's the only one that comes to mind would be house arrest. But they also had one called county parole, and like people would talk about it, but nobody really knew anything about county parole. somehow I was able to obtain a form, and I mailed it off, and maybe like 4 months, after at that time, I was sentenced to a county lit, and at that time you had to do 7 months and 20 days. So I think maybe like maybe either my third or fourth month, I got a visit from one of the county parole members. They came to interview me while I was in custody. It was weird because the deputies told me they had a visit, and I went over to there to like the visiting area, and I would think I was in medium north or medium south, and then so they interview me and they're asking me questions, and they just want to get a little bit of background, about my life, and who I live with, if I was working, while I was out, and anyhow, they ended up sending me over to county jail to conduct an interview with the what is it county parole board, and it was three commissioners, if I remember correctly, and before I got after I came into the interview, they had informed me that my brother had came, and he had spoken on my behalf, and
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And one of the questions that had asked me was, that as a juvenile I had been on probation, and I kept on doing the same things, through childhood and through as an adult. What kind of guarantees I would give them that I wouldn't reoffend again? And my answer to that was that I didn't want to go to. Oh, the call got disconnected. So let me.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you're still here? Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, I think Gary's calling me. He's calling me to the where is he calling? I think he's calling me to the number that you're calling me to, but I can't pick it up because obviously we're on you're on the line right now. But anyhow, so they had asked me what guarantees I would give, there would be, that I've been reoffending, since I was a kid. And I just pretty much told him that, I didn't want to go to prison. I mean, that was all right. So the call got disconnected. I'll go ahead and continue on with my experience with the county what was it, county parole county, yeah, I think it was county parole. I gotta look up the paperwork. I got the paperwork somewhere around here in a folder. Stuff like that, it's weird. I've held on to a lot of these things. I think I still have my badge, or my
This call is now being recorded.
You have a prepaid call from
Silas Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
So anyhow, so back to my county parole experience. They had asked me, why wouldn't I? What guarantees, I would give them, that I wouldn't reoffend or violate my probation. And pretty much I told them I didn't want to go to prison. I had already been in county. I think this was like my third or fourth time, hitting county jail, and from the looks of it, I didn't like it. I didn't like the experience, So at that moment, that's when I made the decision that I didn't want to continue down that path, continuing, going, to county jail, or possibly, making that leap, to go to prison. And I never reoffended after, or at least, I was fortunate enough not to. I can't say that I reoffended because I did continue a life of crime for numerous years. I just changed the type of crimes I was committing. Ultimately, to where I'm at now, where I don't break any laws. But the biggest factor for me, stopping that was that I didn't want to go to prison, because in prison, they don't give you months, they give you years. So that was the biggest deterrent for me to for me to stay on the right path. So just wanted to share that experience with you. Like I said, I don't think I ever heard anybody speaking about county parole. I've never heard any other channels, but and this was like back in 2001. So I don't know if that's something that they still offer. And with county parole, if you reoffended, the way it explained to me was that you would have to do your whole time. So I was sentenced to a year, so I would go back to county and I would do the whole year day for day.
Yeah, I never even heard of county parole before. This is my first time ever hearing about it.
Yeah, I think it was like an urban like an urban legend. People talked about it, but nobody had ever. Oh, you know what? And another thing I want to share with you is that, so out of all the people that went to the county parole hearing, there was about nine of us in there, and I remember like most of the people that went, they were older dudes, and everybody had already been to prison. I was the only person in that hearing that had been to prison. There was people that were on parole. They were out on bail. They had a bunch of different type of cases, but they were like pretty much they were career criminals, at that point. So I remember, everybody went to the hearing, and then they had us waiting in a holding tank, and I you know what I want to mention something. When I was in the hearing, there was actually a door that was open, and when I looked to my right, I looked out into the parking lot of county jail. Uh, um, I thought that was strange. You're in a hearing, you look out, and you can actually see cars like driving by, police cars, or it's where the officers park their cars. So back to the atmosphere in the holding tank, everybody was uh, up to the point where before they let everybody know what the outcome of their county parole hearing was, everybody was happy. But as soon as the deputy came back and she started reading everybody's she pretty much just told everybody that they were denied. Everybody that she was going down the list of everybody, and she was just saying Lopez denied, and denied, 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 denied. And then when she got to mine, she said granted, and everybody looked at me. Everybody looked at me, and you could tell they weren't happy. They weren't happy. Like I remember this one dude started messing with me. Like he wanted me to give him my. I had a thermal shirt. He was like, hey, like let me get your thermal shirt. And I was like, nah, I'm gonna hook up one of the homies up, on my floor. I don't remember what floor I was in. I was in a dorm, but yeah, like everybody's. You could tell like they were upset that I was gonna go home, and they were gonna stay there, because the cool thing about county parole is once they granted it, they will let you go right then and there. So you would just go back to your unit, and then they would, as long as you didn't have any warrants, they would call you back, and then they would process you out. So you would be out by that day within hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was, what was it? BPH it was more emotional than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I went in there with my expectations of kind of expecting a denial, but expecting it and then actually hearing it, and going through the process is just an entirely different thing. It's just something that I don't know I could ever prepare for. I mean, regardless of the pragmatism that you employ, there's still, we're human beings, and I mean, the only reason why I've been able to ascend to the heights that I have is just because of a sense of hope, a renewed hope. And so, there was always that hope that, hey, there's a chance, but I mean, I think it's just, for me, it's just, it's been a lot accepted, I spoke with my brother, my cousin, my fiance, and all of them have been really loving and supportive, and they pretty much lifted me up and got me through. Like that first night was tough. Coming back that night was really tough. But like I have a really strong support system, and they loved me up that night, and encouraged me. And the next day I was able to wake up and like it never happened. Like emotionally, at least, and to just get my refocus and recalibrate and get back to the business of getting it done and doing everything I need to earn my freedom,
Yeah. Let me ask you something, because Marlene just put in the chat here that my volume's kind of low. Does it sound low on your end, or can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly now. When Gary was on, your volume was kind of low. It was really noticeable that your volume was low.
Oh, okay. So I gotta double check right here, like the setup. I haven't used the setup since the last time we were doing those calls. So I'm gonna have to definitely adjust the volumes and whatnot.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'm gonna have to double check it
Yeah, get,
when my wife is here, and probably raise the volume up a little bit, just to fine tune it and whatnot. So we won't have these issues in the future.
okay.
Um, and let me see. I got some other questions here for you. So another question I have for you would be, can you explain the tone of the hearing for us?
For the most part, it was conversational. Like I said, I was prepared for just to go in there and be berated, and the commissioner and deputy commissioner were both respectful, they were graceful. Their tone was, the tone was just conversation. It was essentially just a conversation, which was really surprising and surpassed my expectations because I went in there expecting the worst, and yeah. So I mean, it was a tame environment. So I mean, surprisingly, I mean now it's not surprising, but there it was a pleasant surprise. I mean, obviously I didn't get the result that I wanted, but I think that having the hearing condensed as well helps a lot too. Like Gary was talking about earlier, he was in there for like 3 or 4 hours. Having the hearing, shortened, it kind of gives you, you kind of got to do what you came to do, as opposed to all of the extra stuff that I've heard in the past were elements of the.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So yeah, it was a conversational tone as far as the tone. It was pretty tame.
And let me ask you, so I'm sure if I was in that situation, I would have been, talking to everybody that, they've been to a parole board hearing, kind of to pick their brain and kind of get I guess like a inside view of, what to expect when I possibly, would make it over to the parole board. So, from what you anticipated to the reality of the parole hearing, was it what you thought it was gonna be, or from what people explained to you? Is that what you got, or was it totally different from what you anticipated?
It was different for me because I wasn't. A lot of people in here, they prepare for BPH, like, and I'm not talking about like preparing relapse prevention plans, getting support letters, getting transitional housing letters, acceptance letters, and just going through your parole pack. Now, I'm not talking about that. I mean prepare, like almost like rehearse, like they go over questions, possible questions that commissioners could ask. They go over like A and A. They'll rehearse the steps, the answers to the steps, and for me, I found that I had zero anxiety when I went into there because I went in there with the express purpose of just telling the truth and being myself. And whatever the result is, I was willing to accept it, I didn't have to go in there and like, I guess for lack of a better term, perform during the hearing because I've been living this way, who I present is who I am, so I didn't have to go in there and just portray anything. It's what you see is what you get. I've been living, all of these tenets and all of these values and attributes I display. Like I live it every single day. So it was just pretty much just going in there and showing them who I am,
Man, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate sharing your experience. I hope this helps. Anybody that's possibly gonna be going to the parole board, or they have family members. Maybe they could give them some tips. Um, but definitely, I don't think I've ever heard anybody speaking about their experience with the parole board. And those are the kind of things that I want to share with you guys, with the audience. There's so much more uh, that goes, with going to prison, besides, the drug dealing, cell phones, and things of that nature. Um, so I really appreciate, you guys, taking time out of your day, and sharing your experiences with us and with everybody else. I'm sure this is gonna benefit somebody, uh, um, or if family members, because I'm pretty sure family members want to know what their loved ones experience during these hearings. So it's definitely, great insight that you're providing us here. Is there anything else that you think would be beneficial to anybody listening to this live stream, that, for either if they're incarcerated, or if they have a loved one that is incarcerated, that they could possibly benefit from?
Um, I, there are a couple of things. First, as far as the hearing is concerned, I mean, go in there and tell the truth. Like, BPH, I really doubt that they ask you questions that they don't know the answer to. So that's first. Just be honest. Go in there knowing that there is nothing that you could disclose that the commissioner and deputy commissioner hasn't heard. Like you don't have a worse story than in the history of California. It's just not possible. They do this for a living, and they hear and they see just the most horrible things imaginable. So, don't go in there thinking that you have the worst story and this is going to be the reason why you get it denied.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and don't minimize, the things that you've done. There are no mistakes. People don't kill people by mistake. It's a terrible act. And, be victim-centric. I mean, go through the process of recognizing your victim before you go into BPH. That way, you're not struggling to show some sense of remorse. I think those would be the key elements for me.
And that's definitely really good insight and advice that you're sharing with our listeners there. I know the call's about to cut off. If you want to go ahead and give us a call back, and we could do one more call, and
Okay.
that'll put us at about an hour, a little bit over an hour. So yeah, so one more call, and then all right. So 15 minutes we're up, and yeah, I know Marlene mentioned that my mic volume is off. I raised it up a little bit. I'm not sure if this is making it better. If I could get some feedback from anybody that's listening, letting me know whether my mic volume is still low, or is it just right. If it is, then I'll go ahead and leave it as is. If not, then I could always go ahead and raise it a bit more.
This call is now being recorded.
Link. You have a prepaid call from
SILAS Johnson.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, Silas. Thank you. Thank you for calling us. Thank you for calling us back. And besides the Board of Parole, hearing, how has everything been for you, in the last week or so?
Everything's been pretty positive. Like I said, I have a really strong support system. So, my family members, they've wrapped their arms around me and, just smothered me with love. So, I mean, I can't complain. I mean, I'm ahead of the game. you know, in a lot of ways. Like I said, my brothers, my cousin, my fiance, you know, they've been fantastic, and so it's definitely made the blow a lot easier to absorb, and I mean, I got a lot of positive things going on, you know. So I mean, I just finished school and finished my first semester of school, so just, you know, just reveling in that, you know. I'm 12 units in, and 12 units in, 60 units to go. I had 60 units to go, and I knocked 12 down, so now I'm at 48. So, you know, I'm counting units, you know. So I just try and focus on, I want to accentuate the positives. You know, I have a beautiful woman in my life with a beautiful spirit, and like, I mean, I'm, for the first time in my life, I'm in a healthy relationship. I mean, so that pretty much takes up a good portion of, you know, my time and my focus, and, you know, I have school and I'm having my writing. So, like, I mean, I'm coming up roses, James, for real. You know what I mean? I've been good.
Well, you know what? I want to be the I probably won't be the first, but I'll be the first in my mind. I want to want to be the first, you know, to congratulate you on, you know, on that big feat, you know, as far as, you know, your school, you know, your first semester. It's not easy, you know, studying and you know, going through these tests and whatnot. So definitely, you know, want to congratulate you. And I want to throw something out there, and I'm not sure if you and your fiance would be interested in doing it. But how about, you know, if we could get both of you guys on the line, and you know, just, you know, pick her brain as far as like how your relationship is, how you guys met, and any advice that you guys could share with anybody that's thinking about getting involved with somebody that's currently incarcerated. I'm sure that would definitely be, you know, beneficial to anybody, you know, thinking about, you know, going down that route. I'm not sure how you guys feel about, you know, opening up and sharing this or sharing your journey with the public.
Yeah, I think that she'd be open to it. I think that she'd be open to it. Yeah, it's
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
our story is definitely not the average love story, you know. And yeah, we faced a few challenges, and yeah, I mean, we'd definitely be open to sharing a little bit of our story with everybody.
Well, that's definitely I'm definitely looking forward to that now, and I'm glad that you agreed to it. Hopefully, you know, she's definitely on the same page as you, and I'm sure the listeners are, you know, definitely, you know, want to hear from her. And I made an announcement today earlier on where I asked the listeners if, you know, if they wanted to call in. You know, I set up a number. I put a number up on the screen for them, but unfortunately we didn't get any calls. But maybe, you know, when we do the live stream with you guys, maybe the audience would be open to, you know, calling in and asking the questions opposed to them, you know, just typing it. I think you know, speaking to one another, you know, it'll make it a little bit more personal. Uh, um, so
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe you guys would be interested in that too. And I don't know, the possibilities are endless, you know, with technology nowadays, and you know, all the software there is. So I'm always, you know, trying to think of new ways to uh, uh, um, make the stream a little bit better, or more interactive, if you will.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. And I mean, you've come a long way, so yeah, I'm definitely excited to be a part of things going forward, man. And yeah, we gonna kick it into high gear, man, and set this thing off, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, because pretty much when we went through your whole your story, as far as from a child all the way up to, you know, where you're at now, and we could only talk about prison stabbings, you know, for so long. So now we we got past that now, and there's so much other, you know, other information that you could share with us in your journey that I think will definitely be beneficial to our audience.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, just like you said, just the interpersonal relationships. I mean, just the complexities of those alone, is enough to fill a couple hours. Whether it be friendships or romantic, and post release as well. I mean, getting out of here is the goal. But what happens next? Like, what are you aiming at? When you leave here. I mean, a lot of people in here, they have they have it together in here. But I mean, getting out there into the world is a different animal altogether. I mean, I got my head on my shoulders, but I mean, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say if I didn't have any anxieties about post release. I mean, I've been in here almost a quarter of a century. I mean, a lot of things have changed, and I got a lot to acclimate to and adapt to.
Yeah,
those are interesting conversations to be had.
Yeah, there's California's always been populated, but imagine how much the population has grown in the last 20 years. So I mean, just walking into a Walmart, it's sensory overload. Walking in anywhere pretty much in Southern California, you jump in your car, you try to drive somewhere, and you're gonna be stuck in traffic. You go you buy a burger, you're gonna be standing in line. So it's saturated with people. So and I'm not sure. Do you think you would be uneasy, being around, like, let's say you walk into Walmart and there's like 10 to 15 people walking in at the same time to the Walmart, or walking in the parking lot? There's just going to be people all over the place. What do you anticipate as far as being around people?
I did 5.5 years in corporate shoot, and I got released from there and went to Kern Valley in June 2013. And for the better part of 5 years, I was in the cell by myself, shackled and control movement everywhere I went outside of the cell. So I pretty much, I wasn't used to being around people. In cages, talking to people in cages, separate cages. So when I went to the Kern Valley, my first yard, I was probably 250 people in the yard or so. And it was just anxiety inducing just to be around that many people when I had become so used to being isolated. So I don't think I would have that issue now. As far as just being in like shopping centers or whatever with people, I don't think that I'll be going to any like clubs or any concerts, like just anytime soon. I just I think like any setting like that, I don't think I'd want to attend anything like that. But like a comedy club or something like that, or Walmart or whatever, I'd be okay with that. I don't think I'd have too much anxiety about it. I mean, if anything, I don't think it would be due to being in prison.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
If anything, I don't think I'd be, it'd be prison induced. I think it'd just be because, hell, I'm a court TV junkie and I watch the news all the time, and there's a damn mass shooting everywhere. So I'd be probably looking for an exit or whatever because of that. But yeah, I don't think I'd have any anxiety about, just about being in shopping centers or public places or anything.
Definitely interesting. So I know right now we're down to about 5 minutes left. And I want to go ahead and bring you back over to the Board of Parole Hearings. And I do have one last question in regards to that. And obviously, when you were in the hearing, I'm sure you spoke, about your life crime, as well as other factors in the comprehensive risk assessment during the hearing. How reflective were you, and what kind of emotions did you conjure up during your Board of Parole hearing? if you wouldn't mind sharing with us.
Um, it was pretty interesting. I think I reflected on just my whole life. I mean, because we were talking about my whole life. Um, I was when I spoke about my life crime, just the incident. It was it. I felt it in a different way. I've always in the last few years I felt the magnitude of what I've done, but there's always a kind of like a barrier between yourself and what you've done when you're talking about it like in a self-help group, or you're talking about it to somebody that family member that you confide in. Just to have a commissioner bring the reality of what you've done to you, and just to utter senselessness of what you've done, to just to put it in perspective. He asked me about my confronting the victim, and I disclosed to him that that I thought that was this was my neighborhood, this was my territory, and that anyone that was there basically needed my okay to be there. And he asked me something that was simplistic, but it was profound. He asked me if I owned a home in that area, and I said no. He asked me if I owned any businesses in that area. I said no. So it's I wasn't protecting my community. I wasn't like being a steward for my city. I was terrorizing my city. And just him asking me that illuminated what I already knew. Was the fact that that I'd done something horrible with no provocation whatsoever. So it was pretty emotional to look back on that and to know that what I had done, like it's never gonna stop reverberating. It's never gonna. That crime is still reverberating, today, and somehow I have to try and move on and forgive myself for that, for something that's unforgivable. So it's just a gumbo of complex emotions.
Hello, Silas.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I had it on mute. I do that sometimes, and I forget to press the button. Um, and before we get the announcement, just want to let you know that Annie actually tapped in, and she said, "I'm totally supportive of your podcast, and would love to be part of it." Hashtag Silas wife.
That's the missus right there.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
That's right. So, once again, I want to go ahead and, thank you, for tapping in. And once again, congratulations. Congratulations to both of you guys. And can't wait to have both of you guys on.
Man.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you, man. So I'll message you tomorrow sometime in the morning, and we'll touch base.
All right, great. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and I came up with like a little outro. It's thank you for tuning in to You Have a Collect Call From, and what my slogan or the saying for the channel is gonna be life's like a candle. You blow it and it's lights out. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream, and I want to go ahead and thank all of you guys for listening in and tuning in, and we'll be back on either Saturday or Sunday.